As we head towards the end of the year and into a new year, it's a natural time in our work and businesses to pause, if we have time to pause, and just assess how things are going and think about and strategize for next year where we can improve to better meet our business goals and personal goals. And your website, of course, is a key aspect of your business. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to do a simple website audit to get a lay of the land of how your website's doing and whether in the next year it makes sense to dive deeper as part of a refresh or other general updates for your website. So first off, let's talk about at a high level what a website audit is and why should you do one. A lot of times when you hear the word audit, you think about tax audits, and it can be the scary, ambiguous thing that you need to worry about. And really, when it comes to a website audit, really all it is just getting a lay of the land or temperature check of how your website's doing and whether or not there are any issues you need to fix or other ways you can improve your website. And granted, there's lots of tools out there you can use. You can hire professionals or get their advice on audit, but there are a lot of simple things we'll talk about in this video that you can do yourself to do a real quick audit of how your website's doing. So with that said, let's talk about why it's really important to do regular website audits. So first off, security. You want to make sure your website's not at risk for any hacks or breaches or other things that can go awry. So security is one big reason. Next is search engine optimization. If you have a website, it doesn't do any good if nobody's finding it. So it's important to check regularly how your website's doing in Google search results, things like that, to make sure you're making progress and your website is always becoming easier to find and showing up higher and higher in Google search rankings. So it's important to check those. Next off is performance. So speed, how well your website's loading, how it's doing as far as that user experience and performance metrics, because those are good not just for people experiencing your website, but Google actually prioritizes those aspects as well. So performance is really important to audit once in a while as well. Next off, accessibility. So making sure your website always is accessible, viewable, usable by all different types of users, regardless of their background or ability level. Next, it's important to do audits to make sure your content is still accurate, to make sure you're saying the right things that are still relevant to your business, making sure that the aesthetics and design and layout is still easily navigable and intuitive. And then last off, bottom line conversions. It's important to do audits on your website once in a while to make sure you're really maximizing the chances and success of conversions. So are people coming to your website and actually following through with sales inquiries, contacts, whatever that call to action might be, or are they just leaving your site as well? So that's a real quick rundown, but there are a lot of things to really think about as far as how your website's doing and different aspects or different lenses you can look through to see how well your website's doing when it comes to a website audit. So all right, let's dig in. What are some easy things you can do without having a technical background to see if your website's performing well or not? So here's a real quick checklist of a website audit you can do. And granted, as mentioned, you can always dive deeper into these, but these sort of things are really important to do on a regular basis. So first off, check for broken links. As you go through your website, you want to make sure any links, whether internally to other pages within your website or outbound links, you want to see if they're broken or not. So broken links aren't good for user experience. They lead people to be frustrated. So we want to make sure we're checking through and seeing if they're broken links. If you use a platform like WordPress for your website, there are plugins you can use and install that will regularly check for broken links and let you know. But broken links is a major frustration, so that's a really important thing to go through and make sure it's working. Next up is a content audit or SEO audit. So the first part content-wise is you want to go through your site and make sure things are still accurate. Have team members changed? Are you still offering the same services or products that you mentioned in your website? Are there any background or contextual things? You want to make sure what you're saying, even photos, are still relevant and up to date. And then as a second step to that, have you recently done an SEO audit on your content? So there are two aspects of this. One, how is your website performing as far as search engine optimization or SEO? How is it doing in Google rankings when people search for it? But on the content side, have you recently gone through your content from that SEO lens and thought about what keywords are you targeting? What keywords did you bake into your content to make sure you're showing up in Google rankings? And does that content still reflect those keywords and make sense for your business as well? So if you haven't recently gone through your website content and thought strategically through both, is this still relevant? And then also, Is this content written in a way that's deliberate or purposeful for SEO? Might be time to revisit that and maybe update that in the next year. The next quick and easy thing you can do for a website audit is a speed test. That is, how fast does your website load? And again, this is really important for user experience because nobody wants to wait around for a website to load, but it's also, again, really important for Google search rankings. So there are lots of tools online you can use to do a speed test on your website. One we use a lot and recommend is GT Metrics. And reason we like that, it's really thorough, it's non-biased, it's an impartial one. And also, if there are any issues, it'll call those out and give some advice on how to fix those. So granted, there are lots of audit tools online. If you search like website audit tool or SEO audit, you'll find those. One caveat is as you run those tests, just be mindful of who is providing that assessment of your website and what their agenda might be, because sometimes you might get results that are pretty unfavorable because the website or team doing that audit has kind of an ulterior motive where they want to basically say, well, here's issues and we can help fix those. That's great, but GT Metrics is one of those websites that's really good. It can give you really good speed tests for your website as well. So next thing you can do to audit your website is a mobile responsiveness test. And granted, there's some methodology you can go through to test the mobile responsiveness, but basically you want to have yourself, your team, your friends, family, check your website on different devices and different browsers. So your desktop computer, your laptop, your tablet, your phone, different browsers to make sure your website looks good, functions well, and is responsive across different devices as well. If it's not, that's not good for user experience or again, search results. So mobile responsiveness is a really easy thing you can do to audit your website and make sure that's in good shape. The next thing to check as part of a quick site audit is the sitemap. Does the layout and overall structure of your website make sense? Is it easy to navigate? Have you added pages or changed pages? If your site structure and sitemap has become a little bit convoluted or non-intuitive or not streamlined and simple and clear, might be time to revisit that, either rearranging pages, combining pages, merging, adding, whatever that may be. You want to make sure page by page your website makes sense and is really clear and easy to navigate, but that applies to the overall site structure as well. So one more thing to check out as part of a quick website audit. Next up is looking into analytics and conversions. So if you use a tool like Google Analytics or some similar tracking tool for your website, that's a really good thing. And as part of an audit, it's important to look at how are traffic trends going, what are conversions looking like, things like that. Granted, there's a lot of factors that go behind the scenes into what's driving traffic, increases or decreases, conversions, things like that. But if you're seeing things like traffic going up, but your conversions aren't improving or other different factors like that, it's a good sign to pause and think about why that is. Are you really driving more traffic to your website? Are you driving more of the right types of people to your website? Are conversions dropping off? If so, why is that? Those are all things that can help provoke a conversation and a little bit of reflection as far as what on your website might need to change, or what about your website marketing strategy can you adjust to help increase or improve those numbers in your metrics. The next thing to think about as part of a website audit is aesthetics. How does your website look? And granted, this is a little bit of a gut check, but trends and design do change and evolve over time. And granted, you want to make sure your website looks really nice. So think about, is your website still up to date? Does it still look good at a gut check level? But also think about side-by-side comparisons. If you were a customer or potential customer of yours and you visited your website as well as one of your competitors' website, whose looks better? Whose promotes the most trust? Who really evokes the biggest connection as far as like, wow, this company really can best meet my needs? If your website doesn't look good aesthetically, that's a good thing to dig into and think about, well, for the next year, how can you prioritize making updates for your site to make sure it looks really, really good? And then last, as part of a website audit, this is more of a gut check again, but while there are lots of metrics and kind of hard data aspects of a website audit as far as traffic and conversions and speed and things like that, one that can't be overlooked is that gut check of, does your website reflect who you are and where you're going? If you feel proud about your website and it reflects you really well, great. But if you feel like, you know what, this reflects who we were or where we've been, but not really where we're going, it's really important to think about that and make sure your website really truly reflects who you are, who you're aspiring to be, where you want to position yourself in your company in the grander scheme of things. So as one last kind of gut check for your website audit you're doing, is think about who you are as a person, as a business, and is your website really reflecting that? So there you have it, a couple quick, easy things that anybody can do as part of a simple website audit. Granted, as mentioned, you can always go way more in the weeds as far as data, analytics, things like that, user experience. But these are some simple things you can do as a website manager or website owner to just get a sense of how's your website doing? Are there issues we need to address right away? Are there some things we can focus on in the next year to really improve performance, aesthetics, user experience, those sort of things as well. So granted, a lot of this is, while there are some hard metrics, some science behind it, there's a little bit of art as well as science as well too. So if we can be a resource for you at Buddy, more than happy to do so. Talk about any concerns you have, things we see, what have you as well. It's a common conversation we have with a lot of folks. No pressure, no obligation. Of course, though, if you're looking to make improvements in your website, whether short-term or long-term, feel free to reach out. You can, of course, learn more about our team at Buddy and view our portfolio at our website at www.buddywdd.com. And if you'd like to get in touch, just click that button in the upper right-hand corner, answer a few real quick questions, and we'll follow up right away and schedule some time to chat with you and see how we can help out. So, as always, hope this has been helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again real soon.